And away we go. So what we're talking about today is, while I'm sharing my screen, is just kind of not getting overwhelmed and not being bogged down by everything that's out there right now on the market. I feel like there's so much. I feel like social media can be so overwhelming, and I feel like just the health and fitness industry in general can be so overwhelming. As somebody who comes from a career in the health and fitness industry before I got into coaching, I can tell you it's always been that way, but now it's like infiltrated through social media. So it's like there's just options galore, which is a good thing. It's so good for people to have options, but it's also the thing that drives me up a wall and back down it is there's a lot of things out there that aren't good for you, but people don't know what's good and what's bad. And so we're just going to kind of talk through how you can stand out in that kind of a market, because it's hard, because sometimes when there's so much out there, people tend to stereotype and tend to just lump everybody into the same category of online health and fitness junk. And you don't want to be catching yourself in that kind of stigma, because it's not a good place to be. Because I have done a lot of research on the other things out there, because we were super skeptical before we started this. And I will tell you, a lot of the things that are out there just aren't good quality from a nutrition standpoint. Not most, all programs don't offer workouts as well, but from a nutrition supplement standpoint, there just aren't good stuff. And so it makes me cringe when people think that they might think of me the same way as they think of one of those other products. So going through that and kind of talking it out, and I hope you guys write down questions if you didn't already bring questions, because I know you've probably had some, or you've been going through like, oh, this kind of stinks, I don't know what to do about it when people tell me. So hopefully we have those at the end. So starting with some facts. So there are a lot of multi-level marketing companies related to health and fitness, or health and nutrition is more the angle that you see, but just give it time and everybody will be trying to throw in a fitness workout component, because that's just kind of the wave of the future. Workouts are headed to being online. People are starting to be more conscious about nutrition. So it's just a matter of time before more and more people start to put those pieces together, but putting them together in a quality sense is what's really been the struggle. So some things that you've probably seen on your news feed or heard about, or maybe someone had asked you about before you started doing Beachbody: Herbalife, Thrive, Advocare, Plexus, Amway, which is like the Neutralites. It's a huge company, but you don't see it very much in South Central. There's a very big MLM across the country. It works as like those wraps. So there's a ton out there. I'm sure that you've seen even more than this. But the point is, I know the reason I wanted to put this call together was because I was just getting in kind of a funk, because I felt like I was seeing this stuff all the time. And I was like, I don't want people to think that I'm like this salesy, spammy person who's trying to rip them off with a wrap that's not going to do anything at all. I don't want people to put me in that category. And so it kind of paralyzed me, because I was afraid to talk to people, because I didn't want them to assume that I was like this little sleazy, just trying to get your money, I'm going to offer you a quick fix sort of situation. So it's hard. Or when you talk to somebody and they tell you, yeah, I've tried XYZ in the past. Or I was talking to somebody about coaching this week, and they're like, yeah, somebody from Herbalife was talking to me, and I'm also talking to somebody from Plexus. And the thing about it is nobody knows anything about anything until they start to jump in and do their research. And most people will not do their research. They're going to go with whoever they trust, whoever, gets them excited and gets them feeling passionate about something. Because at the end of the day, people just want to feel good about something they're doing. And if they don't know any better about a product that they're using or selling or pushing, they're going to just dive right in. And sure, they'll figure out down the road that maybe it wasn't the best thing for them or the best thing for somebody else. But when people are first interested, whether in, just getting better for themselves or becoming an ambassador, a coach, whatever their representation is called, they're not really looking at the facts of the company so much as, how did the person who got me started make me feel? Do they make me feel like I could be successful? Do they make me feel like this was an awesome program? That's what people want. And so that's what you should be thinking about when you are reaching out for people that you want on your team, or when you're reaching out to help people with their health and fitness goals as challengers. You've got to make them feel good about what they're getting into, and don't hesitate about anything that you're talking about, because that makes people doubt you, and it makes people kind of search around and look around, and there's so many other options that maybe you just got them fired up about. You know what, I do want to change, but you weren't confident enough to get them rolling, and so they end up going with somebody else because they just had the confidence, but they didn't have the quality. So we're going to kind of chat about that, how you can overcome it, because I feel like it's a battle for a lot of us, but it's just out there. And so I just want to talk about it because it is what it is, but it's how you handle it that's going to really figure out your success in the market. So some more facts. Even though there are a bucket load of MLMs that have to do with health and fitness, there are still so many people that need help in this area. Health and nutrition and fitness are such a sought after field for people that either want to be involved in it or just know that they need to benefit from it. Health and nutrition are the two things that people value most statistically. However, those are the two things that people struggle with most. Most people just have like this mind block. They think it's going to be way harder than than they can handle. They think they're going to be fighting an uphill battle. I've given up 1,000 times, I'll give up again. So it's just this, they come in with this mind block when really, as we know, because we've been through it, it's not that hard. You do have to commit and you do have to want to do it, but it's not that hard at the end of the day. But 68.6% of our population are currently obese or overweight. That's a huge number. And so even if there are all these different options for people to seek after, there's so many people out there. There are plenty of people still needing your help and still waiting for you to reach out to them. 1 in 3 people will have diabetes by 2015. And I know how much I have had clients come to me and customers come to me and coaches who have been able to get off of medication for either high blood pressure, or they were pre-diabetic, or they were struggling with depression or anxiety or a multitude of things, and using Shakeology regularly really flip those things around. Like, that's a huge deal to be able to impact that 1 in 3 number in 2050. So a lot of people that you might be in contact right now would be those people in 2050 that would be diabetic, but you have the opportunity to prevent that and to turn that around for them. And that's a huge platform. That's a big deal. And so you've got to really put that in the forefront of what you're thinking and what you're sharing. 86% of Americans are inactive, which is a large number, but it's super true. And we have the ability to just get people moving for 30 minutes a day. Of course, there are longer programs. There are even shorter programs, 22 minutes to be exact. But if you could get somebody moving for 22 minutes a day, even if they only did it 3 days a week, you could completely reverse the direction that they're headed. That's super powerful, and that's a big deal, because 9 times out of 10, the reason that people don't move is because they're not motivated, which we can take care of with accountability groups, and they don't know what to do. Because it's like, I know I should do something, but again, it's overwhelming. And, they're not thinking, I'll just go out and take a simple walk. They're thinking, well, if I don't, go to the gym and lift weights for 2 hours, it's like I did nothing at all. So I just won't do anything at all. And that's our job, is to educate and to share and to let people know, every time you post about you doing a 22-minute workout, or I only had 10 minutes today, so I busted this out, is sharing that knowledge with somebody else. That's like, oh, hey, I never thought of it that way. Or, oh, hey, I didn't realize you could be successful in only 30 minutes. So just think, every time you share that stuff, you're impacting someone else that had no idea that was possible. 67% of gym memberships never get used. I ran a health club for a very long time, and I will tell you that is absolutely true. We had so many people, we were constantly combating the issue, because gyms are very intimidating. It just, no matter how you cut it, you could have the best customer service in America, but gyms are intimidating. People come in, they don't know what to do when they get there, so they wind up on the elliptical just watching the people go by, if they come in at all. But eventually, getting on the elliptical every day gets boring, and they stop using it. So if they ever came in the first place, the likelihood of them actually using it long term is very small, because people are busy, they've got kids. If you want to go in for a 30-minute workout, You have to think about your travel time to get to the gym, your workout when you're at the gym, your travel time to get back to wherever you are going. And so it really ends up being, minimum of hour and a half, hour workout that most people don't have time for. So that we can also solve by helping people work out at home. Before I started, I would have never thought of myself as somebody who would work out at home. And I literally have not stepped foot in a gym in so long, and I love it. Like, I don't miss it. I thought I would, but it's so much better. It's so much better. And it's because it's so much easier. I can just pop out to my little workout room, get it done, and it's like no time has passed in my day. And the big thing that I want us to look at is, yes, there's a lot going on in the market. There's a lot out there. There's a lot we see in our social media stream because we're super hyper aware of it. But there is over 1.5 billion people that are active Facebook users, which means that there are plenty of people for us to reach. But we have to go out and get those people. Not everyone is like going to come knocking on our door saying, hey, there was like these 10 people that messaged me about doing a health and fitness program, but I saw you, so I thought I'd message you. No, they're going to go with who messages them, who gets them excited. So that's our job, is to reach them first, get them excited, and get them on board. Okay, some more facts. The only true obstacles that we face, look at me, I spelled obstacle wrong, that's good. The only obstacles we face is ourselves, which is my battle for sure constantly. I swear I get in my own way more than anybody else could ever possibly get in my way. 80% of people who join an MLM of any kind quit. So these are just some hard statistics. And I was hesitant about putting this on there because I didn't want to come across as negative, but I also want to be honest. And I just want to say, like, most people, when they start something of any kind, whether it be an MLM, or as you see in the bottom, you start a new business, you decide you're going to write a blog, you decide you're going to have a New Year's resolution, you've got a new fitness plan. Over 80% of people will quit whatever it is they decide to start because it gets tough. Something gets in your way. A barrier comes up. It's not instantaneous happiness whenever you decide to set out on a new goal. And so people just quit. They don't fail, because failing is defined as giving something at least 90 days to 6 months of solid effort. Then you could say you failed. But most people just quit before they ever give themselves the opportunity to be successful. And something like an objection of, oh, well, I already do Thrive patches, or, oh, I actually just became a Herbalife specialist, even though Raquel's been reaching out to me for months. Something like that can really like dampen your confidence and really be like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. I'm not good at it. Peace, I'm out. I have had several people who I reach out to do challenges or be coaches, and then months later I see them post about a different company, and I'm like, I've failed as a human being, and PS, it's not as good. I don't want to be negative, but so those things can really weigh on you and they can really pull you down, but you have to remember, you have to keep going through that, because there's that other person that's needing you. There's that other person who you have the opportunity to change their life. And if you give up because of little Sally Joe Bo over here, you're going to miss that person, and you're going to miss the experience to help them lose weight or to help them become financially free. And that's what your goal is to help people be better. And if you stop every time that you get resistance, you're never going to make it. And those people are going to win, which is not the goal. So 50% drop out within the first year because it's such a low investment cost. So as a coach, you don't put in much skin in the game, which is a positive because it's very easy to jump in. But on the same token, had you dropped 10K to become a coach, you'd be a lot more hesitant to kind of throw in the towel and be like, didn't really work. But you only did a challenge pack, or even less, you did $40. And so if it gets hard and you feel some resistance, it's a little too easy to walk away unless you've got that drive, that passion, that burn, that doesn't matter what happened, I'm going to help people be better and nothing's going to stop me. If you don't have that, it's easy to quit. The bottom line is people want easy, quick success, and they don't really want to work for it. And that's in everything that people do. And the more and more that I get into coaching, the more and more I figure that out about people, which is kind of sad. But I feel like we have this opportunity to grow and to be better and to prove ourselves wrong and to say, no, I'm not going to be in that 80% or that 50%. Like, I'm going to be on the other side of that, the people that are making this ginormous impact and really helping people be successful. On the flip side, so not looking at our end as us as coaches, but when you think about that saturated market and you think about all those posts of people that are posting, what I think, instead of I thinking, oh, this is a reason for me to quit, I think, don't worry, they'll fade out because all people do. So when they stop doing what they're doing and then they need something to get excited about, it'll be me and I'll be able to help them. I will tell you too, most of us, or some of us, have been part of multi-level marketing before we jumped into coaching. Raquel, I know, did too before she did coaching. And you don't know that. She talked about it last week, but she failed at both of them. Or she quit, excuse me. She did not fail because that would have required effort, which she did not put in. Not to call you out. But because she wasn't passionate about it. A lot of people get into MLMs because they're excited about the person that they talk to. But if you aren't passionate about what you're doing, you have no reason to push forward. So sometimes people are hesitant to talk to people who've been part of other organizations because they feel like, oh, they're going to say no to me. But I feel like it's encouraging because they know what they're coming from. They know how it works. And now they know they can get into something and be passionate about it and really be successful. Okay, so what do you do with all that nonsense information? First things first, put on your blinders. Like, I cannot stress this enough. This is so important. Put on your little blinders and just do your thing. Get to work, do what you need to do, and go on with your bad self. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Whether they are a Beachbody coach and they're doing something you think they need to be doing, or they're from another MLM that's health and fitness related, and it kind of stabs you a little bit when you see it. Don't worry about that, because those things start to create negative thoughts and start to pull in negativity. And negativity attracts negativity. And you start to snowball quickly down that negative path. And that's where you end up kind of slowly giving up. And that's when you find yourself unmotivated and you just kind of, I might just throw in the towel. When you feel that happening, reach out to somebody. There's a million of us here on Team VIP. Reach out. Your upline, your downline, your sideline, doesn't matter. Reach out to somebody or just post in the page that says, hey, I'm in a funk and this is why. Because we are all in funks at one time or another. Have us help you get out. Focus on yourself being fit, healthy, and happy. I know a lot of people are getting back on board tomorrow, Monday, so I'm really excited about that, because I know that it's hard to be committed 100% of the time. You know, we run challenge groups monthly, but you're not always in your challenge group that you're running. You're part of it as a coach, but sometimes you're not following it to a T like you should be. But you will start to slip, and everybody knows that you work harder and you produce more when you feel good about you. That's just how it goes. You're happier at home, you're nicer to be around, and you're more productive. And then all of a sudden, all your little things start to align and everything starts to go right for you. It's because you're focusing on you first. So when things start to look bad, or you start to get distracted, get back to you, get fit, get healthy, get happy, find that personal development. Because when you're happy, everything seems to go right. When you're not happy, everything seems to go wrong. So make sure that you take care of that first and foremost. And then focus on what it takes for you to help other people. So for me, that means I need to be inviting every single day. Because I can't assume that when I post on social media, people are going to see that and want to message me and get started. I want to get out there and message people because I want to open the opportunity, and I want to be able to help people who didn't even know they needed help until they heard from me that Monday morning, whatever it might be. So I know that that's what I need to do to reach out and help people. Or maybe I'm able to message somebody who's like, oh man, I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I've just been really nervous. I didn't know what to say or how to get started. Great. Maybe I can help somebody and facilitate that way. Next, You've got to make sure that you're leading versus recruiting. This is especially with your team, but it totally works for your challengers as well. Your job is not to pull on coaches or to pull on challengers so that you can get Success Club points and like wipe your hands clean. Like, it's not that kind of company, and that's not what we do. You have to be willing to want to help somebody. You have to be willing to pour your heart and your soul into your challengers and into your coaches and give them what they need to be successful, because if not, it's never going to work. It's not that kind of an organization, and it doesn't, unless you pay it forward with as much energy as you got when you came on, it just doesn't work. And you've got to be willing to be consistent, because the worst thing you can do is bring on these great challengers and then you kind of motivate them when you want to, and then you kind of, I got busy this week, so I didn't really check in with them. You can't do that. You've got to be willing to go that extra distance to make people feel like they matter. Whether they're a coach or a challenger, they have to matter. And the happier you are, the more they matter to you. I will guarantee that. Lastly, and if you take nothing from this phone call other than the gibberish that comes out of my mouth, please listen. You must have unwavering confidence in what you are doing. Even if it's a little false in the beginning, even if you have to fake it a little bit till you get there, you must have unwavering confidence. It is your key to success, bottom line. Because when people are looking for something, they're intimidated, they don't know what they're looking for, they probably have hesitations, they probably have questions, and they are looking for somebody who can swoop them up, take them under their wing, make them feel good, make them feel confident in what they're doing, make them feel like, yes, I will help you get where you want to go. And then that person can actually take that to fruition. And that person is you. You've got to be confident in what you're saying. If they have an objection, you have to confidently be able to respond. And if you need help with that, definitely reach out to us. If you feel like you have a spot in your conversations where you lose people, or man, every time I try to get a challenger, I have no problem whatsoever. I love it. But when I try to get a coach, I tend to lose them somewhere in the conversation. Or maybe it's vice versa. Whenever I message about this, or there's probably an area where you feel really good and strong, and there's probably an area where you feel like it just doesn't work for you. Figure that out. Don't continue to beat a dead horse, because that's just going to frustrate you to no end. So you have to figure out where you're not confident and fix it. Bottom line. If you're not confident in posting, let's talk about it. If you're not confident in what to say in social media, let's talk about it. But don't allow yourself to show insecurities in any way when it comes to helping someone get started, because you will lose them so fast, because they're already timid, they're already nervous, and if you act like you don't know what you're talking about, or you're not passionate about what you're doing, they're gone. It is just that simple. And it's not a negative thing. It's just that, imagine the way that you came in. Imagine whoever your coach is, how did they speak to you that made you get excited? You want to share that with somebody else. And then really think about this too. Would you defend your programs against anything out there on the market? And not Beachbody programs. That's not what I'm saying. Yes, we use Beachbody programs, and that's what we provide, because they're amazing and all natural, and they're just so darn good. But I'm talking about you, yourself, you as a coach, you as a leader, you as somebody to look up to and somebody to be an inspiration to. Would you put that against anybody else on the market? I know that I would. Everything I see out there, I'm like, no, let me help you. I promise I'll give you a better experience. Because I believe that 1,000%. I believe that I could help you better than anybody else can. And you've got to get to a place where you feel that strong and that passionate about what you're doing, because then it becomes so much easier to get other people on board with what you're doing. And you've got to have that confidence throughout everything you do, whether it's posting, messaging, talking about objections, getting people off the ledge of, I don't know if I'm going to join or not. And that's what we have to work on as a team, is being able to say, this is where I'm weak. Help me get strong, because I'm serious about moving forward. And it's that simple. I know you're like, sure, Jessica. Sure it is. Okay. I promise we're almost done. So this has a lot going on, but I'm going to kind of break it down because I don't want to just like ruffle your feathers and get you all riled up. I want to try to give you like tangible action. What do you do? What are you thinking about? So think about this. First and foremost, going back to all the other things that you might see in the market, competition is actually a really good thing. The more that you have out there, the more that it's awareness that people should be taking care of themselves. We're moving into this era where people are kind of going back to the basics and are trying to take care of themselves. They're trying to get to a more natural way of life, a more natural nutrition, which is going to lead them to us, which is really nice. But they're trying to get back to being healthy, taking care of themselves. People want to be happier. The trend is just moving that way because we've gotten to such a place of unhealthiness, and we've gotten to such a place where, you know, we have such high depression rates, and we just have such problems that can be prevented through health and fitness, that everything is moving that way. But competition is a great thing because the more you have out there, the more there's a standard that's established that helps you become high on that ladder. It helps you become somebody that is a standard to beat, a standard to go for. And that's what I feel like Beachbody programming is. They've worked so hard to create this really quality stuff. They're a standard of good quality. And you may hear a lot of things about Beachbody, but you won't hear negativity about the quality of the programming or the quality of the nutrition. And that's because it's that good. But that is something to compare to all these other things. Now, I would never in a million years say something negative about another company because I don't know enough about another company to say good or bad. That's not my place. But I will always be willing to tell people why I chose Beachbody. So I talked to a lot of people about other programs they did, other health and fitness things they've tried before, whether they tried as a representative or just a customer. And I'll never say, well, this is why it didn't work, or this is why that's hocus pocus. I won't say that, but I will say, this is why I chose Beachbody. I did a lot of research in the beginning, and I ended here because of X, Y, and Z. So that brings in that unwavering confidence, and it also allows you to compare to other companies without ever sounding like a negative Nancy or like, I'm way better than that. Don't ever do that to yourself because it's just negative, it's not tactful, and it's just not good practices. But remember, as you go through, social media is your place to generate leads. It's not your direct money seller. So your content, the value that you're putting out, that is setting up lead generation. Once the lead gets to you, so via a message, or you've reached out to them somehow, or they've come into you in some way, they're now in your little basket personally, that's you. That's on you to turn that lead into a great customer or coach. So 2 different ways that you can look at your social media content. This is what's going to help you become what's called top of mind when people are ready to purchase or when people are ready to get started. So as you've seen, and I know I've talked to a lot of my personal coaches about this, when people are ready to buy, they are ready to buy right then. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. They get excited right then. And so when they're excited, you have got to be ready to help them. But when people are excited, they're going to go to who's top of mind. So if I decide I want to lose 20 pounds and I decided that today, I'm going to think, who can help me lose 20 pounds? Oh, that's right. I always see that crazy Laura Mills, posting about these challenge groups that she runs, and she's about to do a 3-day refresh. I don't even know what that means. I'm going to reach out to her and see what's going on, because her quality posting has put her at top of mind for me for who is in charge, who is the expert in health and fitness, who can help me get where I want to go. Or this person, continually posts about her journey, and she has lost 20 pounds, and she's constantly posting these pictures of her updated transformations, and she's lost dress sizes. That person is top of mind for a whole lot of people because they think, I want to lose that. So when they get that mojo and they get that motivation, that's who they're going to. That person that's top of mind because of the quality of the content they've been sharing over time on social media. Whether or not they've ever engaged with you, probably not, but they're still thinking of you when they're ready to get after it. So there's 2 kinds of content posting. This was really hard for me to decipher in the beginning, so I tried to break it down to make it easier. Because when I would talk about branding, I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm building a brand. I don't know what that means. It's kind of confusing. So when you think about branding and your content being branding, you're making deposits of relational equity. So that means something of value when you're asking for nothing in return. So that's just something that's educational. So you're posting about the benefits of a 22-minute workout and how it's impacted your life. That would be something that is a deposit because you're not asking for anything in return, but I've learned something and you've inspired me. So that is something that you're giving me some equity. You're giving me some goodness, some good feelings. You're giving me a recipe on something. You're telling me about the nutrition qualities of Shakeology and why you drink it. So you're kind of letting me in your personal story, but you're educating me along the way. So whether that's something funny or relatable or a story or a transformation, you're giving me these little gold nuggets, but you're not asking for anything in return. Selling is that you are withdrawing on that relational equity. So the more that you put out that's branding, the easier it is to sell because you have so much out there. You're not taking much away when you ask to sell. But if you do no branding and then you come out of the woodworks and try to do some selling, it's just not going to work because people are going to be like, what? This person's been MIA. And then boom, now they're running a challenge group. What does that even mean? If anybody even saw it. But if you've been talking about your success in the challenge group, my challenger did this, transformations this, recipe for my group this, they're hearing little nuggets. And so then when you talk about a challenge group, they're like, yes, thank you, please. And they're more apt to want to join. I hope that kind of makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing, but it helps for me to segregate my content in that manner. Am I trying to give somebody something quality, or am I trying to get something from somebody? The more you give, the better you get. So think of it in that kind of give and take mindset. And everything counts. I know sometimes until we get that unwavering confidence, you can feel like, I don't have anything to offer, but you do. This a simple thing of saying, of putting a post up first thing in the morning, talking about how your alarm clock went off and you are super motivated to get started or getting up early. That is something that people can benefit from. So it doesn't have to be super big. It doesn't have to be a how-to video, but anything that you feel good about is going to help somebody else. Anything that you are opening up about, the more deep that you're willing to go with yourself, the more you're willing to expose yourself and your true feelings, the more people are able to pull it in and really feel like they know you and feel like, man, this person is giving me so much of themselves. It grows that trust and it grows that bond. So when they're ready to make a change in their life, whether it be financial or health and fitness, again, you become that person that's top of mind because you're just this person who's so genuine and so passionate and so willing to share. So think about that when you're creating your content. And I know we talk about this all the time, but you have to be consistent. If you're not consistent with your content, whether it be good or bad, it's not going to go anywhere. So you have to be consistent because if you're, you can't do all your branding for a week and then you jump off of social media for 2 weeks and you come out, you try to sell, and you have to be consistent for it to work. Okay, so to wrap it up before we do questions, because I know I've chatted long enough, 3 things I want you to think about. Number 1, just make the decision. You have to decide that you're all in. You can't dip your toe in and kind of do it and kind of not. Whether you want to be a part-time coach or a full-time coach, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. You can still be part-time and go all in. You can still be full-time and go all in, but you have to go all in. The difference between part-time and full-time is really just the number of people that you message a day. That's the difference. How many people you're taking in your challenge groups, how many people you're pulling on board each month. That's the only difference. Other than that, the activities are exactly the same. Number 2, reach as many people as possible. Pay attention to your network. Who's in your network? Is it big enough? Do you need to expand it? How should you expand it? Do research on the best ways to expand it. There's 1,000 ways to get to the same goal. So don't feel like you have to do anything that we're doing. Don't feel like you can't get on a limb, do something different. You be as creative as possible. It doesn't matter how you reach people. You just have to reach them. You can write hand postcards if you want. It doesn't matter. Just get your little self out into the world. That's it. And the most important, follow through and follow up. If you give yourself a goal, do not rest until you follow through with that goal. It might be uncomfortable and it might in the beginning, but you will be so much better off if you force yourself to follow through with the tiniest of goals, because it will make you that much stronger as you go and you go and you go. And always follow up. So follow up with what you're doing and follow up with the people that you talk to. Whether they said no, they didn't respond, you never heard from them, follow up until they block you or they tell you no, or they just say, get out of my face forever, or they just say, okay, fine, I will do it. What are you talking about? Because remember, some of you, it took a long time before you jumped on board. Maybe you were busy, or finances were an issue, or you just weren't in that motivated place. And I'm sure that you're grateful that whoever your coach was kept at you so that you could jump into this and change your life. So just remember that. Don't worry about bothering people. Don't worry about how you come across. Just get to that place of unwavering confidence and just attack. And everything else will fold together as it needs to come. Work smarter, work harder, and most importantly, believe in yourself. Okay, questions? I hope that was helpful and not overwhelming.
Great call. I loved it. You're amazing. I love you. Is that okay?
You stop.
Awesome. You're just amazing. That's it. I'm done.
Oh, crazy Lisa. No questions? Not even a little tiny one?
So good, Jessica.
Loved it. The only thing I'd say is that she talked about if other people are going to choose different routes. If somebody happens to choose a different route besides you, just know it happens to all of us. Like one of my very closest friends was a bridesmaid in my wedding who I knew would be an amazing Beachbody coach. For months, I'd be like, you were made for this. You'd be so great. No, that's not my scene. I would never want to do what you're doing. Never. And then she shows up selling Plexus. And it was like a dagger through the heart. And it was just, it really hurt like for a long while. And I've had, multiple people do other things. And just know that if it happens, you're not alone. It happens to all of us. So don't take it personally. Like Jessica said, a lot of people don't do the research. We did so much research on this company for months and months and months. But most people don't do that. So they just don't know. Right. So I just wanted to put that out there that it happens to all of us. So as hard as it is, try just not to get your feelings hurt if you can. But great call, Jessica. I loved it.
Fab. Okay, no questions? Okay, a little quiet Mices. Okay, so I know that there's a lot of people who need to listen to the recording, so I will try to get it up tonight or first thing in the morning. So if people need to listen to it, you can share with them.